Discover the 7 costly composting mistakes gardeners always regret. Tired of watching your raised beds struggle, despite doing everything right? There's a good chance your compost is the culprit. Composting is supposed to breathe life into your garden, but when done wrong, it silently sabotages your plants. Whether you're just starting out or you've been gardening for years, understanding these sneaky composting mistakes will help you unlock lush, vibrant growth in your raised beds. Let's dive into the hidden dangers that might be ruining your soil, and exactly how to fix them before your next growing season. Compost is magic, if you get it right. Compost is more than just decomposed scraps, it's the heart of a thriving raised bed. When done right, compost improves soil texture, enhances drainage, and fuels plants with slow-release nutrients. But here's the catch: one wrong move and your compost turns toxic to roots, creating a nightmare for your crops. Raised beds are especially sensitive since they're enclosed systems. That means every imbalance, nutritional, microbial, or chemical, is magnified. Skip the fluff, here's exactly what's going wrong and how to fix it. Let's start with the most misunderstood mistake, the carbon to nitrogen ratio, often referred to as the C to N ratio. It's the engine that powers composting. You want about 30 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. Stray too far from this and decomposition slows, odors build, or worse, your compost becomes harmful. If your compost is heavy on greens like grass clippings, food scraps, or fresh manure, it gets slimy, stinks, and turns anaerobic. That's a nitrogen overload. On the flip side, too many browns, dry leaves, cardboard, straw, and nothing breaks down. The pile becomes dormant, like a dry heap of mulch. Get the balance right by thinking of greens, which provide nitrogen as fuel, and browns, which provide carbon as the firewood. For every bucket of kitchen scraps, add 2 to 3 buckets of shredded dry leaves or sawdust. If you're not sure, a handful test helps. Compost should feel like a wrung-out sponge, not soggy or dusty. Starving your pile of oxygen kills the whole system. Oxygen is non-negotiable. Without it, composting halts and rot takes over. Many gardeners make the mistake of piling compost too tightly or, just forgetting to turn it. This suffocates the microorganisms responsible for breaking down organic matter and replaces them with anaerobic bacteria that produce ammonia and sulfur. Bad news for your soil and, honestly, your nose. Your compost pile needs airflow. Every couple of weeks, give it a good mix using a pitchfork or compost aerator. If it smells like rotten eggs or sewage, it's basically screaming for air. Raised beds hate anaerobic compost. It introduces harmful pathogens and disrupts soil structure. To build a compost bin with proper aeration, add ventilation holes along the sides and base. Even better, layer coarse materials like wood chips or corn stalks at the bottom to improve internal airflow. Ignoring moisture control is composting sabotage. Moisture makes or breaks your compost. Too much and you drown the microbes. Too little and they dry out and stop working. Either way, decomposition stalls and your compost becomes useless for your raised beds. Here's the rule: compost should feel damp, not wet, not dry. If water squeezes out when you grab a handful, it's too wet. If it crumbles to dust, it's too dry. A balanced pile keeps microbial life humming and, speeds up breakdown. If your pile's dry, sprinkle water using a watering can with a rose attachment. Never flood it. If it's soaked, mix in shredded newspaper, sawdust, or straw to absorb excess water and restore balance. Covering your pile with a tarp during heavy rain also helps regulate moisture. Overheating destroys the good microbes. A compost pile that gets too hot can seem like a good sign. It means active decomposition, right? Yes, but only to a point. When temperatures go above 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 71 degrees Celsius, beneficial microbes start dying off, and you lose the very life that gives compost its power. To avoid this, check the internal temperature using a compost thermometer. Your ideal range is between 130 and 150 degrees Fahrenheit, or 54 to 66 degrees Celsius. If it spikes above that, turn the pile to release heat and increase airflow. Avoid overloading your compost with nitrogen-rich materials like fresh manure or green lawn clippings all at once. This imbalance fuels runaway heat. Remember, your goal is a steady, controlled burn, not a compost inferno. So, if your compost pile seems to be just sitting there doing nothing for weeks, or even months, it's really crying out for help. More often than not, slow breakdown means your pile is either too dry, too compact, or maybe just lacking the right mix of microbes. One quick fix you can try is adding a compost activator, and you can actually make your own by mixing 1 tablespoon of molasses and 2 tablespoons of fish emulsion in 1 gallon of water. Just pour it evenly over your pile and mix it in. This feeds microbial life and gives your pile a nice jump start. Another trick, chop materials smaller before adding them. Things like banana peels, corn cobs, and thick stems take forever to break down whole, but they'll disappear a lot faster when they're shredded or diced. Compost really shouldn't smell bad. If your pile reeks of ammonia, vinegar, or rotten eggs, well, it's gone anaerobic. That means the good microbes are gone, and what's left behind is actually toxic to your plants. You can fix this by aerating the pile thoroughly and adding more browns like shredded leaves, straw, or even paper. This soaks up excess nitrogen and helps rebalance the microbial community. Never use smelly compost in your raised beds. It can introduce harmful bacteria, lock up nutrients, and even suffocate roots. If you're ever in doubt, just let it sit longer or use it around ornamental beds instead. Using the wrong materials can poison your soil. Not everything belongs in compost. Some materials like glossy paper, treated wood, dairy, and meat introduce toxins, attract pests, or interfere with microbial activity. But there's an even sneakier culprit, herbicide-contaminated grass clippings. Clippings from lawns treated with persistent herbicides like aminopyralid or clopyralid can actually remain active in compost for over a year. When added to raised beds, they kill beans, tomatoes, and lettuce before they even get started. So, always ask where your materials come from. Stick to untreated yard waste, organic kitchen scraps, shredded cardboard, and leaf mold. Your plants will thank you. Finish strong with raised bed-ready compost. Before you add compost to your raised beds, screen it. Run it through a half-inch mesh to remove large, undecomposed chunks. These can tie up nitrogen as they continue to break down, basically stealing nutrients from your plants. Then mix your compost into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil, allowing nutrients to blend and feed the root zone. For ongoing health, top-dress your raised beds every few weeks with a fresh layer of compost and water it in well. Want a nutrient-rich booster? Brew compost tea. Use 1 part finished compost in a cloth bag per 5 gallons of dechlorinated water. Add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses to feed microbes. Let it steep for 24 hours with aeration, then drench the soil or use as a foliar spray. It's like a probiotic smoothie for your plants. Your raised beds deserve better, and now you know how. If you've been unknowingly hurting your raised beds with bad compost, don't worry, you're not alone. Composting isn't just a pile of scraps, it's a living process that needs the right care. By steering clear of these costly mistakes, you're setting your garden up for lasting success. Got your own composting tips or horror stories? Share them in the comments. Your experience could help a fellow gardener. And if this helped you out, give it a like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for more deep dig gardening wisdom right here on Soil and Crop Central. Happy composting, and here's to beds so healthy, your plants won't stop growing. Soil and Crop Central, watermark text.